My name's Dan Brummer. I wrote this little layout for a group called, today it's called Oregon Wild. It used to be Oregon Natural Resources Council. And this class is to provide information that allows you to get out of the house whenever out of doors calls. Most people don't go simply because they don't know where to start, they don't have the right equipment, or they might be too frightened and too much talk about bears, bad water, and fear of being lost. Okay. A day hike with friends and family can be many positive things. Most often it becomes all-day mobile conversation with people you care about, with the best scenery and your favorite things to eat. You might also be interested in the various side activities associated with it, photography and the study of natural history, the most common but certainly not the only ones. The core of the class is an expanded discussion of the 10 essentials of wilderness travel. One will see the best that modern technology can provide in the way of equipment and the common sense alternatives that cost little or nothing. And so on and so forth, blah, 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 blah. Now, to give you my bona fides, I grew up in Illinois. That's where I was born. I was born just before World War II. And all my uncles, many of them, and my dad all worked for Western Cartridge Company. They made the ammunition, so they didn't go until late. And oddly enough, I was born in Alton, which is where it is, and I grew up in Wood River, and that's where Lewis and Clark started. They started what's called a Hudson Bay start. When you leave St. Louis, you go up the river just a short distance and camp the first night. So if you forget anything, you can go back and get it before the big trip to the east west coast. And so I was raised by two sets of grandparents. They were on a farm, and the other, of course, in the refinery town there in Wood River. And so as a result, I spent a lot of time in the river bottom north of St. Louis, all floodplain area, all wooded and everything. So to me, being out in the woods and fishing and stuff like that was that's what everybody does. And of course, when I got to school to learn how to read, I was amazed, and I got hooked on the National Geographic and the Compton's Pictured Encyclopedia. I think it was a 1917 version that my grandfather had. Anyway, after the war, my folks moved up to Chicago. My uncle started a business, and I became a lousy student, and I became a truant because I found out on the way to school there are forest preserves and creeks and things like that, and so I couldn't go to school. And then I saw the people with the badge, and they came and got me. Anyway, so that's how I grew up. Forest preserves, rail lines follow railroads. You find all kinds of neat places because it's not private property. The railroad owns it, but they don't care. So I came of age, of course, then in 1953, and who are your heroes then? You have Hillary climbing Everest, and you have Jacques Cousteau publishing The Silent World. And so that was going to be it for me. So after I went in the Navy, I headed first for the Florida Keys. I was going to be in the tropical fish business, shells and stuff. But I found out when I got down there and I drove the entire Appalachian chain, camped all the way along it, checked it out, and found out it's all gone. And so were the Florida Keys. They were just starting to go downhill then. That's in the 60s, and they're really in trouble now. So, remembering my National Geographic and a photograph of the Olympic Peninsula. And I still remember the photograph. This guy is checking on some flowers, and behind him is a mountain covered with snow and ice. And I thought, man, that's the place to go. And so I headed west. And that's how I got here. So the first thing I wanted to do was climb mountains. So after I finished my graduate work, I joined the Schmeckens in Salem. That's a mountain climbing group, and I got bored of that right away because, the top of all the mountains look the same. Then when I got my first teaching job here, I was a part-time teacher, and some of the local people were hikers and what have you. And so I thought I'd start an outdoor program like like you see in the news all the time, and that's what I did. And then the Forest Service, I did so much hiking the first few years, my name was on so many trail maps. When you checked in those days, you just signed a piece of paper when you'd go in. And so the Forest Service called me and they said, we want you to serve on a committee. I said, I didn't. So help me God. And they were having trouble with too many people going in by Mount Bachelor. And every day they were having too many people. And they wanted me to work as an advisor what to do. And I said, well, just build a restroom, you know, come on, or move the trailhead back. That's what you have to do. And so that's what I told them. And then I got hooked up with Oregon Wild, or Oregon Natural Resources Council, worked with them for a couple of years. And then after I had my outdoor program, the reason I got that going, all the other schools in the area would always do things like have a basketball star, show you how to shoot. And I already had my outdoor group going, so I said, and rappelling off the side of the gym with ropes. And so I said, why don't we get all the kids from all the schools around to do that? So we did that, and from then on it was easy. Then I was asked to serve on the YMCA board when they built the pool, because my kids and we were already swimming and jumping off the boards. We had diving boards then. The water was too shallow, but we did it anyway. And then I helped with another group that helped establish Riverfront Park. And then I served on the Altus Trails Committee, working with the National Park Service. And you've got a pamphlet, I think, the city does. That's where that map came from, potential trails. And then I started guiding the YMCA groups in 2002. I went through the B&B fire with a group of kids. We avoided it, and I still get in a lot of trouble about that because I took one of my shortcuts to get out of it. Okay. Now, this is what really gets me. My granddaughter is just returning from a hike in the Outer Hebrides. I didn't make her do it. She went with her mom and dad, and then one of my students from the high school went on to teach at the Hillary Climbing Center in New Zealand. John Blum was his name. He's gone now. My oldest son never did anything like everybody else. He hiked the PCT from the north. Don't start in the south, you start in the north when the snow was on the ground. By the way, they're going to have grizzly bears together again, you know. And he saw a dead one when he was going through there. Anyway, my daughter is the one that really did the big stuff. And then she got in, she did the marathon running and stuff, did the Portland Marathon and all that stuff.